Hi, this is Cathy MacRae from Someday Consulting. Thank you so much for joining me. Today I want to take a moment to talk with you about social media and why, as wedding and event professionals, we should be using it to help promote and advertise our businesses. Why are we even doing it? Well, social media is our best method of free or organic advertising. It's one of the easiest ways for us to get in front of our ideal client, especially if we know how to use it effectively. There are a lot of different platforms out there. Facebook and Instagram, of course, but also YouTube, Pinterest. Yes, that's a social media platform. And more recently, TikTok, and some still consider Twitter a big part of the main ones. So 5 or 6 different platforms to choose from. There's a lot of mixed information out there as well, encouraging us to be out there on at least a bunch of them to make ourselves more visible. And in an ideal world, I do agree that you should be on a few of them, but the realistic side of me has another opinion. I feel that if you're just starting out, or maybe if you don't have a ton of experience, you're better to choose one platform and focus on doing it extremely well. Think of this in relation to taking on clients. Are you better to take on a bunch of clients and overload yourself so you end up doing an okay or mediocre job at their events? Or are you better to focus on a few, really dedicate yourself to those events and knock them out of the park? Well, it's the latter one, of course. And that same concept applies to social media. I think you're best to choose one and narrow in on it while you're working on the basics until you master it. And I believe their best bet to do this is with Instagram. Why Instagram? Well, there's a phrase I heard a couple of years ago that makes a fair amount of sense. Facebook is for friends, Instagram is for brands. Each social media platform has its own personality and target audience. Facebook has definitely been around the longest and is still the largest platform out there, but Instagram's been closing the gap each and every year. Currently, there are 1.074 billion active users on Instagram. 140 million of those are in the United States alone. Canada's active users are closer to just over 13 million, but that's also reflective of the different sizes of our populations. What makes things more interesting is when you look at the statistics, is that 74% of Instagram users are between the ages of 18 to 45. If you break that down even further, 33% are between the ages of 25 to 34. Think of that for a moment, of how old the majority of your wedding clients are. I know that for the most part, my clients are exactly in that age bracket. Whereas the largest demographic, when you look at Facebook, are women over the age of 55. Nothing against that, but I have to recognize where my target audience is and where my ideal client is hanging out. As well, 71% of all adults ages 18 to 29 in the United States are on Instagram. That's almost 3 out of every 4 people. If that's where they're at, then Instagram is definitely where I need to be. Now, Instagram also has a useful feature that they excel at perhaps more than any other social media platform, and that's hashtags. Hashtags are those words or phrases often at the end of a caption that have a number sign in front of them. They are made up of letters and numbers with no spaces between them. The beautiful thing about hashtags is that on Instagram, and it uses them like a search engine. They are a vehicle to help people find your post just as you might type something into Google to find information on the web. While other platforms also use hashtags, they haven't figured out to the degree or focused on it as much as Instagram has. Using hashtags can really help narrow down and find information or accounts on Instagram. Now, hashtags are a strategy that could fill an entire weekend, but here are a few things to consider and put into effect right away. 1, you can use up to 30 hashtags per post on Instagram. They can also be used on IGTV and Reels. We used to use them on stories as well, but Instagram has kind of removed that function. You can still put hashtags on stories, but the algorithm doesn't recognize it anymore or allow stories to be searchable. That means that they don't really do anything for your stories, so I suggest you not waste your time. However, I do find that if you use hashtags on your other posts, it still allows your content to be searchable. There's a huge debate right now about how many hashtags you should use nowadays. Some accounts are suggesting you use only 5 to 8. Some are recommending you use the full 30. Others are saying maybe something in between. You're going to have to figure out what works best for you, but I do encourage you to use them. I think it's also more important to try and use hashtags that are more specific and related exactly to your posts. For example, if you're showing a photo of the finished reception space for a wedding in a venue, you might not want to list hashtag wedding cake as a hashtag unless the wedding cake is front and center in the photo. At the same time, if you are sharing a photo of the wedding cake, you wouldn't want to use the hashtag beautiful bride. They don't mix. It doesn't work. Number 4, as I said, we could go in quite in depth about hashtags, but for now, let's keep it fairly basic. First of all, try and choose ones that specifically describe the photo. Think of hashtags your clients might use to look up wedding or event related information in your area. For example, instead of using just hashtag wedding planner, maybe use LA wedding planner or Chicago wedding planner. Okay, Memphis wedding photographer. Use mountain wedding instead of destination wedding. Sometimes being a little more specific will work to your benefit. Another really important feature on Instagram, especially if you're in the wedding and event industry, is it's really easy to give credit to other vendors who worked with you on an event. This is actually one of my pet peeves. It takes a team to put on an event, and it's important to share credit with one another. If you are putting on a post, then be sure to tag other vendors by using the @ sign in their Instagram handle. For example, @Sandals Resorts or @FS Toronto for Four Seasons Toronto. This is an added benefit of Instagram, and it makes it so easy for you to credit others this way. And this is the other great part. It notifies them when their name has been used, which may mean that they also share the same post, which increases your exposure, especially if they tag you back as well. See how important that is? I guess one of the other advantages about Instagram is the variety of formats available to you. You can post pictures or video. You can take like multiple photos or videos, up to 10 in total, and load them as a carousel onto your feed, allowing your audience to scroll through the photos one at a time. Okay, you could film a mini tutorial or video training just like this one and upload it to IGTV. Maybe you're ready to tackle Reels, okay? There are really a ton of options available to you, especially as you develop your confidence with Instagram. I guess the biggest thing for you to do is commit to it and get started. So, first thing I recommend you do is come up with a good profile and be specific about what you do and where you work. Explain how you help people. So, for example, someone might put a California wedding and event planners based in San Diego, California. We are dream makers, or love is our passion. Okay, another one, if a videographer might put Canadian wedding and elopement filmmaker since 2011, crafting bespoke story-driven films. Okay, cake person, custom cakes, desserts, and savory catering for any event. Lunch takeout and bakery counter open Tuesday to Friday, 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. Especially if you have a business that is not just related to weddings, you might want, as I said, put in something like that last one. Okay, the second thing is post quality content. You're probably going to hear this again and again from Instagram experts and social media experts. Always go back to your ideal client and ask yourself, what would they want to see? What kind of posts are going to appeal to them? Think of things like decor and design trends, wedding ideas or inspirations from some of your past events, testimonials from clients, behind the scene moments or logistics related to your job, before and after photos or video, even posts about you from time to time, talking about how you got into the industry and why you love doing what you do. Final, number 3, post consistently. You don't have to post every day, but I would try to post a minimum of 3 times a week. More if you want things to grow faster, but 3 times a week will get you the attention you need. Make your social media profile look current and relevant. If a potential client finds your page, you want them to stop and see that you're an expert. Things may have slowed down during the pandemic, but you're there with great information and tips and strategies to help them get ready for their wedding day, and most importantly, you're someone they can rely on. You don't want to post sporadically, leaving weeks or even months behind posts, because when you do, it looks like you don't care. You're not going to attract clients that way. Consistency is key. Finally, I want to remind you that social media, regardless of what platform you choose, does take an investment of time. There are no magic buttons that will give you instant results overnight. It's kind of like growing an apple tree. When you plant this initial seed, you're not going to get fruit in the first few years. It needs time to grow and develop, but when it does and it's able to start bearing fruit, all the effort will be worth it. I suggest you look at Instagram because I truly believe that is where you have the best chance of finding potential clients. You won't become an expert overnight, but you will get better the more you do it and if you're willing to spend some time learning new techniques. Speaking of which, if you want to learn more about Instagram and how to use it to promote your wedding or event business, I'm teaching a 2-hour online workshop on Wednesday, September 22nd, where I'll be covering some of the specific techniques and strategies you can use to build your Instagram profile to attract more of your ideal client. We're going to include some great content ideas you can utilize and incorporate, and take a closer look at some of the different formats available to you and ways you can use them to promote your products and services, even if you don't like being on video. Sometimes half the battle is having someone that can walk you through the steps and help you build your confidence so that you can experience success. I'll include the link in the caption below if you want to check it out and learn more. All right, that's it for this episode. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to ask in the comments below or send me a direct message. I look forward to seeing you next time. Bye for now.